Hey everybody, today we're going to work with my buddy Cooper, who you've probably seen on the channel already, his 2007 Mustang GT. We've got some brakes, rotors and calipers, but also some new brake lines. We're going to show you some tips on working with those. He also has some new headlights he's putting in, and then we're just going to go enjoy the nice weather we've got in Texas. It's like no watch on, but it's like 70 something degrees this morning, so hopefully it'll be a nice day to just go cruise around. But stay tuned, follow along, it should be a good time. Rotor's got a little bit of life left in it, but the pads, which are probably hard to see, they're almost out, so good thing we're getting rid of those. And then we're also going to be replacing the brake line. Goes up this line right here. Shouldn't be too bad. Calipers are bigger than I thought they'd be. Pretty low on life. Also, when you move your caliper, you want to not have it hang by the cable, and I've got mine positioned so it's not putting too much tension on here. We're going to replace that anyways, so I'm not super worried about it, but you still don't want it just fully hanging on there. So try and put it somewhere where it's solid, or use like a bungee cable and you can bungee it like on the strut or something nearby. Yeah, this side's not too bad. Ta-da! Alright, status update. Looks like we've got the e-brake on this back rear caliper here totally seized up from rust. So hit it with some PP Blaster. Gonna give it some gentle persuasion with a hammer, and then hopefully by the end of this we'll have that moving again. Worst case, maybe new caliper, but we're gonna try and see if we can't just get this moving, because the rest of the caliper, despite its appearance, does seem to be working okay. So wish it luck. The e-brake, you can always put the car in gear, which is what I do anyways. All right, we're about done with removing everything from at least this front brake. Let me show you what we need to do before we put the new rotor on. They usually ship these in like a sheet of plastic, And in that plastic is usually like oil, so you have to go over them with some brake clean. This bit doesn't matter, but you need to clean the surface where the pads are going to contact, and don't forget both sides. Both sides. Otherwise, your brake job was for naught. All right, let's go reinstall some stuff. And this surface is a little knackered, so I might. It's actually not too bad, but I might still go at it with a little bit of like a wire brush or something. All right, Cooper's working on the headlights. I'm sure he's gonna love me getting some shots in his weak moment as the bumper plastics snap. But you can see pretty messed up. You could maybe save it, but not worth it when we found some good deals on the old Facebook for like 50 bucks. So those are gonna go on. They're working on that while I'm working on the brakes. I ordered a microphone so he can join me, but it's not getting in until later today. So unfortunately, it's just one of us yapping at a given time for now. Oh, progress.
No, it's still bolted in somewhere.
Still bolted in somewhere.
That's insane.
Modern technology, folks.
Let's unclick the fog lights. So you can just remove the whole thing.
Is it just gonna come up?
No.
Hang on, that's gotta be enough. Let's not take the whole thing off. Yeah.
Let's get some pressure on the bolt. There we go. It's loose.
The goose is loose.
Can we just take the bulb out? Because we need the bulb anyways.
Excuse me, what?
We need the bulb anyways. Can we just take the bulb out?
Oh. Is this whole thing just...
I don't know.
All right, well.
All right, good shit.
Just like that. Huh?
That's something else that's going to be on after
Pretty clean under here on this hub, actually. I wonder if this hub's been replaced at some point.
I like to replace it at some point.
Some grease and stuff still on here. Not a lot of rust, which, man, that's a pretty clean looking hub for an 07. But we'll take that. We'll take the wins we can get. So mount that puppy on there, and then while we're still working, I don't want this to fall off, so I'm gonna take a lug nut and we're just gonna oh yeah, well that's not gonna work because these are long studs and the lug nut needs to mesh with the wheels. They make some tools where you can like clip on something right here, but not the end of the world if that's loose. Just thought I would try something. Okay. So we're gonna reassemble everything and then we're gonna do the brake line in the back.
Door, get out of there.
All right, well, we got our bracket. It looks pretty good. We're just gonna clean this up a little bit, and we have new clips that we'll grease. So shouldn't be too bad. Let's take these old clips off though first. These were blue under here. It's a nice color.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I'm obviously a little biased, but it's the one that I went with. Okay, so the bracket's on, which is good. We can go put some more stuff on in a sec. We need to compress though that piston, the brake, which might be a little bit of a pickle because it's a dual piston, but you can probably put some wood in there and or something and find a way to compress that.
As hot as it was after this.
It will.
I know.
Mid late October. Every fucking year.
We're in, what is it, false fall?
Yeah.
Okay, so this looks a little janky, but it should work. I need to compress both pistons, so put a block of wood in and my single piston compressor tool. And you just want to keep an eye on your brake fluid as you do this, because it's going to push some of this back up the system, and you don't want to overflow your master cylinder. And when we're done, we're going to bleed the brakes. We've got new lines to put on, obviously, so we'll bleed the brakes once we do the lines, but always important things to do, you know, a brake job. It's really easy, so you might as well bleed the brakes every time. Things are moving. We need to put the pads in, grease them, mount up the caliper, and then we'll do lines and button this side up. I think we're almost there. I already, you know, compressed that caliper in, so we're pretty close. Let's grab the new pads and see where they're gonna go and show you how we're gonna grease them. All right, so I'm gonna usually grease a little bit on the top here, the bottoms here, and then along this pad. And you're just gonna wanna use like some high temp brake grease, and a lot goes, or a little goes a long way. So I would do like that, and then a little bit there, and then a little bit right there. And that's about probably all you need. That might even be a little too much on the on this outer padding here, but that'll help us make sure that this moves freely as the caliper compresses in and out. So there's our one side. All right. Oh God.
I got it.
All right, got our other pad out. Get up in here and spill those pads on, and hopefully you could tell how much more life those pads have on them compared to the ones that came off. They're basically done. So now we can get that puppy on there. Oh, spilt a bunch of brake fluid. So like I was saying before I interrupted myself, let's put this caliper back on. It should be compressed enough to fit over. Yep, just like that. We're gonna, whoops, push in the sliders on the bracket, and then put our bolts back in. So we're going to take off this brake line, which mounts up to this bracket. Also mounts up to a hard point behind the shock, and then of course to the caliper. So we're going to take that off. All right, so here's our new line. Stainless steel, I think it's from SR Performance. Braided, should be a nice upgrade. And the main reason you want to do this is to improve brake feel, mainly because as the old rubber ages, when the brake fluid is pressed through it at such pressure, it can cause that rubber to give and get squishy. Or worse, the rubber can deteriorate inside it, and you don't obviously want that. This should fix both those issues, get better brake feel and more longevity. And it's pretty easy to install, so let's do this. One of the things you'll want when working on brake lines are flared nut wrenches. These allow you to get over the hard line onto the nut that holds on the brakes, and really the only way you can do that is with one of these. So recommend grabbing one of these. All right, so there's our upper bracket. There's our hard line that we need to take off. So this is one we're gonna work on first. They're not like, it's not like an NPT fitting or an AN fitting, it's just a,
Oh, I see.
just like a regular.
Yeah, that's actually to the
Yeah.
I thought that was just retaining, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh, that doesn't feel good. All right, so a lot of stuff going on here. The short of it is that I think the threaded nut has stripped a bit. So we're going to take some thread chasers for both the brake line and the hard line to soft line adapter and see if we can't clean that up a little bit. It's fun. Alright, I did clean those threads up a good amount though.
Were they working?
Hopefully. We gotta find out.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Dude, those are some of the best tools I've ever bought.
Okay. We're good. It's only leaking out of the filter.
Nice. All right, we got our new fuel filter. Cooper's throwing in. Make sure the direction of the fuel heads towards, if you can guess it, the engine. Easy peasy. What'd you think, Cooper?
I think I smell like gas.
He says he smells like ass. It's weird. All right, your brake line in. We had to chase the threads on the hard line to soft line nut. Once we did that, everything went in smoothly. Got this mounted. New rotor, of course, new pads. Same caliper for now. I think that's fine. We'll bleed the brakes and see how things behave. And make sure you mount up the, I believe it's the ABS sensor to the line. Usually comes with some clips for that. So you can mount that up. Okay, that's this side done.
Please leave my ABS intact.
All right, thought I would take a quick break from finishing up the brakes here. If you notice, this rear caliper has these depressions in them. Typically, your e-brake is stored somewhere in the rear. Sometimes it's attached to like some kind of axle mount that holds the, almost like an inner drum that holds the rotor in place. But a lot of cars just have what are called twist-in pistons, where you need to twist the piston back inside the housing, releasing depth here. If you try and compress them like a typical front brake, you will destroy the caliper. So you need to get a tool kind of like this, a piston compression tool that has an adapter on it for working with twist-in pistons. Worst case scenario, you can use a pair of pliers and just get inside those divots. It's a huge pain, but you can twist like that with a pair of pliers. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're working on the last brake here, and one of the things I wanted to call out is I'm finishing up the piston turn-in, and something to note for these cars is that the brake pads have this little alignment peg. That alignment peg, when it sits on the caliper, right, like sits over here, it'll be on the back side, needs to line up with the depression that the piston has in it. All right, so we're not quite there. If you look, the piston's got a depression here and a depression here, and it's gonna have to line up when it goes back on. These two pieces need to line up. That depression on the pad and the depression on the piston. So we're gonna try and rotate the piston another like 80 degrees or so, and hopefully that'll get us there. All right, done with all the brakes. Now we're gonna bleed them. I'm gonna show you some easy ways to do that. Just a little wrench and just a bottle and a buddy. Okay, so there's a nipple on each caliper. You crack the nipple by loosening it, attached to a bottle with a tube. That tube needs to be submerged in liquid, so when the brake pedal is released, it doesn't suck air back into the system. And then you just communicate to your buddy, tell him down or up, and he'll press the pedal, and I'll show you how that works. So we're gonna start by, we're gonna crack this, or rather I could use a deep socket, and that'll crack it loose, and then we can use hand tools after we break this thing loose, because there we go, that was really on there. All right, now that we've broken that loose, hand tighten that back down, and now we can use hand tools like we were doing. So let me grab that 10 mil wrench I had, and we'll be off to the races. All right, while you're doing this bleeding too, keep an eye on the reservoir so it doesn't go empty. That's what I just ran and filled up. All right, down, up, down, up, down, up. So what you're looking as we're doing this is you want to look for any air bubbles coming through this line. Right now it's looking pretty solid, so I'm gonna do a few more pumps here, and then we're gonna do the other sides. Also, we're on the passenger rear. You want to start far away from the master cylinder as possible, and then work your way closer as you bleed these brakes. Down.
Oh shit, I missed.
All right, got it all finished. New brakes, new hardware, fuel filter, new lights. And we're gonna drop it and go brake in the pads. For these pads, pretty simple. It's like 30 miles per hour to 10 miles an hour. Do that a few times. It's like 50 to 20, something like that. They all kind of vary, but that's sort of the gist. The main thing to be aware of is you just don't want to stop while you're braking those pads in, where the pads are like being pressed against the rotor, because then they'll kind of fuse and they won't mesh correctly. So you always want to be moving or a neutral or something. So let's drop her down. Love this quick lift, quick jack lift system. Still would prefer like a real lift, but this works pretty good. Okay, so last thing to do, and this is an important part of this whole process, is we need to brake in the brake pads, and each pad will have a different braking procedure, so probably just read the one you got. I think ours are power stop, which is pretty typical. It's like 40 to 10, 30 to 25. First bit is hard, second bit's moderate. It's not super important that you match all that, but that's the goal. And you're gonna smell it along the way. That's okay, that's normal. And then again, the important part of this whole thing, which I can talk, I guess, while we're moving, is you just don't want to stop. If you need to stop, that's okay. Like right now, we're kind of stopped, but we haven't put any heat in the pads yet. Once we put heat in the pads, you just really don't want to come to like a complete stop, because that's gonna be non-ideal. Okay, let's go do this. I am a little short for Cooper's car, so it might be a little bit jerky, so I'm getting my excuses out of the way. You'll also notice too, when you just first get in the car after doing all this, you bled your brakes, you verified that all of that's correct, they're gonna feel a little mushy. You're not really gonna get all the bite out of your pads until you get them kind of broken in. So we're gonna hit about 45, and then we're gonna do a hard stop down to about 15, and we'll do that a few more times. All right, so we have a stop coming up. I don't want to come to a full stop for this. So I'm just sort of coasting it, and then I'm gonna take this. All right, so now we've got, I think it's like 35 to 20, some moderate stops, something like that.
35 to 5.
All right, 35 to 5, a little moderate. No one's behind us, so we'll come down to a stop here, and we'll do that a few more times. And then at the end of this, if we time this right, we've got a long straight with no lights where we can cool the brakes off. We may even be able to U-turn around here to do that. .35, kind of moderately down to 5. Okay, and now we're just gonna drive to Chili's, get some food. We've been doing this for 5 hours. And now this is an important part where we are gonna try and minimize our stopping on the way to Chili's. So when you need to, put it neutral, try and look for lights that are ahead of you and slow down well in advance so you can try and catch them. And we're just gonna try and keep, basically the goal now is to cool the pads off. So we wanna keep moving as much as we can. But I'll see you at Chili's. We made it to Chili's. And
Stalled it.
what better way to know that it's time for lunch? Freedom. All right, everybody, thanks for watching that one. We'll see you next time. We're gonna go get some lunch. See ya.